Hello there.
General Kenobi.
You're probably shocked, or maybe not, by the title of this video and my take on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show so far. The keywords being so far, because what I've seen up until this point has been the biggest waste of potential for a franchise character. Like Marvel, I feel Star Wars is starting to feel the strain of having multiple shows on Disney+. That strain being the need for Disney to pump new content out without any care being put into the immediate stories being told. I generally don't like reviewing TV shows before they're finished, but this one is an exception. And let me be clear, this video is just my opinion on the show, so please don't take my thoughts as facts. With that said, let's get straight into why I hate the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. The first misgiving of the show is how Obi-Wan feels like a pale comparison of the character we've grown to love. Granted, his character is at a low point, having been on the run from the Empire, but the show so far hasn't hinted at the wisdom that made the character so iconic in the first place. Even during Obi-Wan's first encounter with Darth Vader, he just came across so weak. Everything about the fight felt mediocre. Firstly, Vader, outside of the scene prior, where he starts killing the village people, is barely featured in any of the previous episodes. So by the time this fight rolls around, there's no payoff for the audience. The scene almost felt like a reshoot, as you can tell the scene was thrown in to add to the show's lack of action. Also, this fight is so poorly edited. The camera cuts back and forth between Obi-Wan and Vader, but never in a way that feels organic to the fight unfolding. And before you know it, the fight ends abruptly as Vader lights a fire before throwing Obi-Wan into the hot fiery mess.
You will suffer, Obi-Wan.
The choppy editing extends to the rest of the show's action. There's a recurring trend of seeing a fight before the show decides to cut away to something far less interesting. They did that with the Obi-Wan and Vader fight, and they did it again with the Obi-Wan and Anakin flashback fight. I literally said out loud during the opening of episode 5 that they're going to cut away from this fight any moment now, and that's exactly what they did. What's so hard about showing a fight in full? There's nothing clever in cutting away from a fight, as any tension built up gets lost almost immediately. One of the big reasons why I detest this show is the lack of Jedi action. Now, for those of you who like the show, I know what you're going to say. The Empire is in power, and the Jedi are practically extinct. While those statements are true, let's not forget, is there any justification to this story being told in the first place? It's not as if this story is a pivotal moment in the balance of war against the Empire. I mean, Vader didn't throw the Emperor down that shaft until episode 6, so you can throw that excuse right out of the window. If you're going to dedicate a one-off season of television to a character as big as Obi-Wan, at least give him more to do. With that said, it's pretty simple. Just craft a story where Obi-Wan is in an environment where he has to use his lightsaber. And by all means, throw in character interactions and a decent story, but don't forget the premise of the franchise. That being at its core, B-movie sci-fi entertainment. Like the prequels, Ewan McGregor is the saving grace when it comes to the acting. Yet again, he has to put up with poorly written material, as he does his level best to elevate it into something that's watchable.
Wait!
Let go of me!
Wait!
Let go! Who are you?
Your father sent me.
What doesn't help is that Obi-Wan doesn't have much of a character arc. Outside of serving as a guardian figure for Leia, his character isn't given a lot to do that allows him to grow or change in any substantial way. Someone should tell the writers of the show that they have at their disposal perhaps the most iconic villain of all time in Darth Vader. Can someone also tell me what they're saving this character for? This is not a situation like Marvel had with Thanos, where they were introducing a new character to an audience over several movies. This is a character that has either been featured or mentioned in every film of the Skywalker saga thus far. Just give me that Vader scene at the end of Rogue One, the only good thing about that movie by the way, and times it by 10. But no, the show wants to be clever and tease the character for what feels like an eternity. And I haven't even mentioned Hayden Christensen yet.
You were born what the feet would bring.
His reprisal of the role has to be an even easier paycheck for him than the prequels. I mean, why bother to bring him back if you're not going to give him a decent amount of screen time outside of the suit? The show feels like a wasted opportunity to develop the human side of Vader, in addition to the epic moments that we're so used to seeing from the character at this point. Instead of more Vader, the show focuses on another villain, that being the third sister.
I hope so.
The worst aspect of her character is that the reveal that she was a child in the Jedi Temple when Anakin slaughtered the younglings is kept from the audience for so long. It means that up until then, we're led to believe that she wants to hunt down Obi-Wan because she hates the Jedi and wants to impress her superiors, I guess. If you're going to go down the route of changing the motivations of a villain during the course of a story, at least don't leave it until the last minute. Had this been revealed an episode or two earlier, it would have given us a chance to spend more time with her character to understand the pain that Reva has gone through. But as per usual, the show decides to make her character as bland as possible, which makes her reveal all the less surprising.
He said not to engage.
I know fans love this character, but why is Princess Leia in the show? It feels like another character has been thrown in to pad out an already thin story. Like if someone told you before the show aired that the plot would centre on Obi-Wan protecting a young Princess Leia against the Empire, my response would have been, really? That's the best you can do? Even when you accept the fact that Leia is one of the show's main characters, the writing leaves much to be desired when it comes to fleshing out the history of the character. Let me put it to you this way. You will have known as much about Leia by the start of the show as you will do by its conclusion.
Wait,
Maybe it was a lie. I knew it. I never should have trusted him.
we don't know if maybe...
No one is coming here, Leia.
From a filmmaking standpoint, the show lacks any vision behind the director's chair. Despite the show's director, Debra Chow, having previously directed some of the episodes on The Mandalorian, any creative say on her part feels overshadowed by the executives at Disney. What's disappointing about Debra Chow's direction is the show's meandering pace. The slow pace doesn't sell the idea of the impending threat of the Empire coming towards Obi-Wan and Leia. Outside of the fact that we know that they survived the events of the story, you always get the sense that Obi-Wan and Leia are safe, and that when danger does arrive, it's never significant enough to bring any consequences for these characters. The show's music, by the way, is all over the place. I know filling the shoes of John Williams is a hard task, but even so, composer Natalie Holt offers little in the way of memorable music. I'm not saying she has to copy John Williams' musical style verbatim. Ludwig Göransson proved on The Mandalorian that you don't need to opt for purely orchestral music in order to provide a musically satisfying score. But if you're going to depart from Williams' musical style, at least have the music have a soundscape that is fresh and offers something unique that hasn't been heard before in the franchise, as opposed to a series of generic sounds. This video is probably the closest I've been to ranting on subject matter, and I'm trying to avoid using the word rant because this video, hopefully, explained to you in a coherent way why I believe the Obi-Wan show has missed the mark. From the lackluster writing, the severe underutilization of Darth Vader, and questionable filmmaking choices that result in a show which fails to grasp the themes that made people fall in love with Star Wars in the first place. I have very little faith going into the final episode, and I don't expect anything dramatic to change in terms of its impact towards the overall quality of the show. So it's now that time where I hand it over to you, as I want to find out your thoughts on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and do you feel similarly to myself, or have you enjoyed the show so far, as I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.